Hey guys, it's Ken. So I want to talk about what I think is the subtle, simple brilliance of Takahashi. Okay. And my central point here is that I don't think there is a Millennium Puzzle wish. Okay. Now, to clarify, in case you're unaware, the idea is that the person who assembles the Millennium Puzzle will have their wish granted. And so in issue 1, we see Yugi wishing on the Millennium Puzzle for friends. That's his goal. He's going to reassemble the Millennium Puzzle, not because there's some grand thing he can get from it, just friends. About like 130 issues later or so, in the what do they call it? Dual dice monsters or whatever? Dungeon dice monsters. In that situation, spoilers, the building is burning down, the Millennium Puzzle is not put together, and it's chained to a table. Yugi rushes in, despite the danger of it, knowing that if he leaves it behind, it will melt, which, I mean, probably, maybe. I don't know what temperature molten gold melts at or what a building burns at, so let's assume he's right. But he knows that if he leaves it behind, he'll never see his other self again, right? Yama Yugi gone forever. He puts the whole thing back together, and Janucci frees him from the fire with the reconnected Millennium Puzzle. And in the hospital, in the next issue, Janucci asks him what his wish was. Like, he reassembled the Millennium Puzzle. He should get another wish, right? And he says that his wish was basically just to see Yama Yugi again. This made me think, because I didn't question the wish early on. He did get friends. Things changed for him when he got the puzzle. But at this point, I started asking myself, right? Because the first question I had was, why would he get a second wish? Like, where's the fine print of the Millennium Puzzle contract? What really stood out to me here was his second wish was to see Yama Yugi again. And that comes true, of course, because he assembles the Millennium Puzzle and they can talk to each other again. But his first wish was to have friends. And if you really narrow in on the situation there, Anzu was already his friend, but through the Millennium Puzzle, they got slightly closer, I guess, right? She comes over to his house. That's really all that happens there. And the only reason that Janucci allows him to reassemble the Millennium Puzzle is because Yugi stands up for him when Ushio is attacking him. You know, of course, he stands up for Honda too, but Honda doesn't fucking matter in this situation. And so Janucci, through Yugi's source of will, right? Not Yama Yugi, not the wish of the Millennium Puzzle. Janucci realizes that maybe there's more to Yugi than what he thought there was, right? That scrawny little kid who can't stand up for himself. By showing this side of him, Janucci realizes that he can go and help Yugi out. We see in the next couple issues that they get very friendly. And it doesn't happen immediately, but Yama Yugi really doesn't come into forming that relationship. And it's all Yugi. And as soon as he's friends with Janucci, he's basically friends with Honda. When you fast forward a little bit to the weird little loser that he gets, that he sort of gets closer to when that bully forces him to sell tickets to his karaoke show, and the other one is also I don't remember his name, he's like Hanasashi or some shit. He is sort of friends with them. You know, down the line, of course, the real next friend is Bakura, who only becomes friends with them because Yugi is so friendly. Right? He's pushing on Bakura, like, we have to be friends. We need to play games. Like, I love games. You love games. Let's be friends. The way kids do. And, of course, they do go through a whole thing that forms that relationship with Bakura, but really it was there right at the beginning, because Yugi wanted him to be his friend. You look forward at Mai, I can't remember exactly. You look forward at her. She becomes friends with Yugi and the gang, really not because of Yami, right? Despite everyone, going through and beating her in cards, but because Yugi and his friends show friendship to her. And we do see later on that he does consider Mai like a good friend. Makuba, I think, becomes quite friendly with Yugi, and that really doesn't have anything to do with Yami. It's because Yugi shows this need to save people, and to treat them well, and Makuba picks up on that. And there's, like, in the beginning of Duelist Kingdom, when Makuba shows up, spoilers again, there is a sense of, like, immediate trust. Makuba is living under this apprehension that Yugi made a promise, and so it will come true. That Kaiba will come out of his coma and be his brother again. And even Kaiba starts to not like Yugi, but understand him and respect him as a duelist. It takes, 4 duels before this happens? And the reason this happens is not because Yami is a better dueler than him, but because Yugi keeps coming through to show off his faith in people and his desire for people to get along and to not fight. And basically what I'm ranting about here is that the Millennium Puzzle had nothing to do at any point, really, with getting Yugi friends. It's always Yugi and his natural, sense of will and his friendliness and his love for games that drives people to be friends with him. The second wish, to see Yami Yugi again, only comes true because Yugi has such an intense bond with him that he's willing to sacrifice his own life to make that come true. And so I think Takahashi, whether he planned it or not, I think he set up this really interesting point right at the beginning where you have to question whether the Millennium Puzzle actually comes into with Yugi being able to fulfill his own goals at all. I think, obviously, Yugi's life would be a whole lot different without the Millennium Puzzle, but I think Yugi would have still gotten friends had he not ever solved the Millennium Puzzle. And so I think his wish was sort of self-fulfilling. I think by his natural character, he would have gotten what he wanted. And I think the only reason it hadn't really happened up to that point is just because of the situation he had put himself into. He's obviously friendly with the other people at the school. He just didn't have close friends like he ends up with. And so the Millennium Puzzle does come into aiding that situation in happening, but it isn't the cause. It isn't what really makes it happen. And so I don't think there is a Millennium Puzzle wish at all. And as we go forward and people want the Millennium Puzzle for the wish it can grant, I think they are misguided because they are looking out for what is unobtainable by a means of supernatural power, whereas Yugi is looking for what is already obtainable, but he just doesn't think he could get it. And so the Millennium Puzzle doesn't grant you a wish. It really just brings out the best in you. And I mean, we see this. Look at, the Dungeon Dice Monsters arc. You see this in Ryuji, where as Yugi's courage shines through and his faith in the Millennium Puzzle, Ryuji starts to transform into a better person. So I give Takahashi a lot of credit for using this supernatural idea behind it and kind of glazing over that, supernatural effect, because you don't at any point really start to think was the Millennium Puzzle actually granting a wish? Because, think back to the first issue. The first thing that happens after he solves it is he, drives some guy insane. Every issue after that, he's, sending people to the Shadow Realm. He's just ruining people's lives. And most of these people deserve to have their life ruined, but that's what the Millennium Puzzle is doing. That's what Yami is doing. And Yugi is the one making friends and actually bringing his wish to life. So I applaud Takahashi. I don't think it grants a wish. I'm going to end the ramble there. I am extremely excited to see if that ever actually comes up again. Bye.
My job here is done. But you didn't do anything.
Goodbye.